this started. My name is Blake Lucas, and I'm the Director of Framingham Public Works. I wanted to welcome you here all tonight to the Nobscot Intersection Improvements Neighborhood Meeting. Tonight we will discuss an overview of the project and its anticipated impacts to the area. So with that, I would like to now kick off the meeting, and I would like to welcome the Nobscot Project Manager for the city, Matthew Hayes.
As Blake said, my name is Nat Hayes. I am the project manager for the city for the Nobscot Intersection Improvement Project. With me tonight is Blake Lucas, the Director, Public Works Director, Bill Sedowitz, our Chief Engineer, Simon Alexandrovich, the Director of Transportation for the city, and Alyssa Jewell, our Communications Project Manager. Also with us tonight is the city's consultant for the project and resident engineer. We have Tracy Lenhart, our Senior Project Manager from VHB, Jack Lyden, our Construction Supervisor, who will be on site daily with the construction going on. Denise Cardoz, also a resident engineer with VHB. She will be assisting Jack, and she will be there when Jack is unable to be on site. And we also have Erin Thompson, Supervising Traffic Engineer. She'll be able to answer any traffic-related questions this evening. The agenda for tonight's meeting, as Blake said, we'll have a project overview. We'll talk about existing conditions, why we're reconstructing Nobscot at this time. We'll go over some of the project features, project impacts, and project detours, of which there are two that we'll be showing you. We'll go over a summary of the next steps, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments. So to begin with, the project has been in the works since I think prior to 2015, even prior to my being with the city. The project construction cost is $5.9 million. More than half of that funding is from a MassWorks infrastructure grant, and we'd like to thank the Baker-Polito administration for awarding that to the city. Instrumental in receiving that grant was the city's planning and community development group, as well as one of the developers in the area, Andy Rose, who is owner and developer at the CVS and the villages at Nobscot. You can see on the screen the limits of work for the project. See if my cursor's here. There it is. We have Edgell Road running north-south, Edmonds Road, and Water Street running east-west. The limit of work on Edmonds Road is about 400 feet to the west of the intersection. South on Edgell, about 500 feet. North on Edgell Road, our limit of work is about 700 feet, and east on Water Street, we're going about 800 feet to approximately the entrance to the McAuliffe Library and past the fire station. Many of you are probably aware of the existing conditions at the intersection in Nobscot. The Nobscot Village is a gateway to Framingham from points north and west, with Edgell Road being a major north-south corridor through the city. The entire area is abutted by commercial and residential properties, existing and ongoing development to increase the business and residential capacity of the area. The posted speed limits are 25 and 30 miles per hour, and many of the sidewalks and the intersection itself are currently not fully ADA compliant. The signal equipment at the intersection, as well as the emergency signal at the fire station, are outdated, and due to their location, are prone to being impacted by traffic and turning vehicles, especially trucks. So why are we reconstructing now? We are looking to improve the pedestrian accommodations. We are creating designated turning lanes or extending existing turning lanes. We'll be upgrading the traffic signal equipment and moving it to a better location away from possible damage. And we're looking to improve the aesthetics of this city gateway. Some of the project features include widening the travel lanes and turning lanes to 13-foot travel lanes and 10-foot turning lanes, again with a turning lane on all 4 approaches to the intersection. Pedestrian improvements include new cement concrete sidewalks throughout the project limits with a brick accent strip along the curbing. Wheelchair ramps conforming to ADA standards and new pedestrian signals and crosswalks. We'll be installing ornamental traffic signals and traffic lighting. The picture on the right is from the School Street and A Street intersection. You can see the ornamental mast arms, the street light posts, and the smaller traffic signal posts. They'll be fluted black, and they really add to the area, I think. Also ongoing in the area are several commercial and residential developments, of which is the CVS right on the corner. That should be opening up probably sometime in April. The village at Nobscot, that will be adjacent to the CVS. We don't have a schedule for when they'll break ground on that project, but we expect it no sooner than late summer. Also, the Gulf Station is scheduled to be redeveloped, and that project should get going early this year. Other project features will be accommodating bicyclists with sharrows. That's this pavement marking here. As you know, the corridor is very narrow, and we could not fit in exclusive bike lanes. So this will give drivers awareness that they'll be sharing the road with bicycles when they're through here. We'll be providing sufficient room for truck accommodations. As you know, some of the turns are exceedingly tight for passenger vehicles, let alone trucks. So those will be greatly improved. The new Metro West Regional Transportation Agency bus shelter. That'll include a bench. There'll be a bus shelter placed in the vicinity of the McAuliffe Library on the east end of the project on Water Street. We'll also be installing higher visibility crosswalks. These are the crosswalks you've seen around the city, the stamped imprint, the red and white, as you can see in the bottom right corner of this image. Here we have an aerial view of the entire project area, superimposed with the new project with lane markings, crosswalks, and the traffic signals. You can clearly see the left turn lanes on all the approaches. So I hope you can clearly see. All these lanes are being extended from their current length. And let me zoom into one area. Here we have Edmonds Road. We'll be adding a left turn lane at this location, as well as a crosswalk where none exists currently across the Edmonds Road approach. Traffic and pedestrian impacts at this intersection. The construction duration is expected to take 2 years. It's a large project. And we expect to be complete with final paving early in the fall of 2022. There'll be no work over the winter between. So construction this year will likely end in November. The construction moratorium will go until March, when we'll start up again in 2022. The hours of construction for the project are Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. No night work is anticipated for the project, and no weekend work. So some of the daily traffic impacts that you'll begin to see starting next week will be lane shifts and alternating traffic. Lane shifts to facilitate some of the work along the curb line and drainage installations. There'll be police details on site to facilitate the traffic. All the traffic in the area will be monitored by the city. Excuse me. We'll be monitoring traffic closely on a daily basis, especially when the detours are put into effect. We'll monitor those closely. Pedestrian access will be maintained. There will be crossings where none may exist right now in order to facilitate pedestrians through the work zone. And police details, again, will be on site to facilitate traffic and pedestrian movements. Some additional ongoing projects in the area. There are 2 utility relocation projects. The main one that is required for this project is the relocation of the aerial telephone and communication lines. All the utility poles have been installed, and Eversource Electric will be in the next month to begin moving all of their overhead wires. After that, communications telephone lines will be relocated as well. Eversource Gas also has a project in the area, and we want to have that project completed before we obviously final pave the area. So Eversource Gas will be installing a new main in Edmonds Road and a portion of Edgell Road. As I mentioned earlier, there's also a lot of private development going on in the area with the new CVS pharmacy, the gas station at 876 Edgell Road, and the village in Nobscot. The detours that I spoke about, there are 2. This detour is the larger detour, and we proposed this during certain times of construction on Edmonds Road. We don't anticipate this detour going into effect until early to mid-July. Edmonds Road is a very narrow road, and maintaining even 1 lane of traffic on Edmonds Road during this work would be very difficult, or would be impossible. So this detour brings traffic from Edmonds Road down Gennardi Way to Livoli Road to McAdams Road, back to Edgell, and up to the intersection. This is a 2-way detour, so it would also affect east and westbound traffic on Edmonds Road. Again, the city will monitor, once this detour goes into effect, the city will monitor the traffic on these roads very closely. This is a residential area. We're aware of that. And we will be monitoring it very closely, and should changes be required, or further actions by the city, we will be ready to implement those. The second detour is a shorter detour. Will go into effect during some work on Water Street. This is a one-way detour which will follow the internal road behind the new CVS. The new CVS will be up and running prior to this detour going into effect. As I said, it's a one-way detour from Edgell to Water. Westbound traffic on Water Street would not be impacted by this. Eastbound traffic on Water Street would be detoured down Edgell Road through the CVS parking lot and back to Water Street eastbound. We did work with the developer of this area and the owner to get an easement for this temporary detour, and they're working well with us to see this through. So, summary of the next steps. Construction will be beginning Monday, mid-March. Our contractor, by the way, is Balthazar Contractors. Balthazar will be again to install drainage and signal conduits through the rest of the spring. They'll begin the widening operations through the summer. Reclaiming operations, where they will grind up the existing road, grind up the existing pavement, shape it, and excavate where necessary, and then pave up to the pavement layer just below the final pavement layer. That'll be the intermediate pavement. That intermediate pavement layer will have temporary paving markings installed, and that pavement will bring us through the winter for final paving later in 2022. Curbs and sidewalks and traffic signals will begin to be installed in the fall of 2021, and that work will again proceed into 2022. Utility relocations by Eversource and Eversource Electric and Eversource Gas are anticipated to start next month and run through early summer. We received a number of questions that we were able to review, add to the presentation, and answer. So I will go through these, hopefully answer some of your questions that you may have. And after these questions, we'll open it up. So there was a business owner had the question: during construction, will my customers and vendors have easy access to the store? So access to local businesses will be maintained during construction. When construction occurs, near access driveways, police details will be on site to assist with traffic. The second question was a question regarding the driveway entrance into the gas station from Edmonds Road. And there's a concern of blocking traffic back into the intersection for traffic taking a left turn into the gas station. So as part of the gas station redevelopment, the Edmonds Road entrance will be relocated further to the west, away from the intersection. And during the gas station's project design and permitting process, no additional pavement markings were recommended at this location for do not block the box type pavement markings. The next question is: the recent drawings show a street lamp detail. There's a Victorian style like the ones found in Saxonville. There's a turn of the century Victorian look and feel. Suggestion is to consider the gooseneck style lamps because there's a more transitional look and feel. So we will be using the same street light posts. Due to maintenance considerations, the DPW attempts to utilize the same light fixtures as much as possible throughout the city. And that gives us just one type of lamppost that would have to be replaced if it were accidentally knocked over. Please consider planting pear trees on both sides of the streets leading into the intersection. We understand that landscaping would really add to the area, but however, there's limited right-of-way along these roads, and it prevents these elements being added within the city's right-of-way. However, the private developers are planting substantial landscaping at the new CVS and proposed at the new gas station at 876 Edgell Road. Please consider native ground cover where drawings show grass, loam, or mulch, and who is going to maintain the grass. The loam and seed and mulch materials are being used to grade back to the existing grassed and mulched areas behind the new sidewalks. And these areas are located on private property, and those areas will be maintained by the abutting owner. The project has temporary easements to do work on those properties during construction. But once construction is finished, those temporary easements will go away and maintenance of that area will revert back to the owners. Please consider other streetscape elements like tree cages, benches, outdoor art, sculptures, space for a local garden club to install seasonal plantings. Nobscot would be a great place to display some of the area's history. While these elements, again, would add to the area, there is limited right-of-way along these roads, preventing the addition of these elements within the city's right-of-way. Next question is, there's only one bus shelter. Are there others? What material will the bus shelter be made of? There is only one bus shelter. Again, due to constraints, only one was able to fit within the project limits. And that bus shelter will be located near the McAuliffe Library. It was chosen with input from the MWRTA. And the bus shelter will be an Aspen style, which is manufactured by Brasco International. We didn't have a chance to get that visual on the presentation tonight. It is aluminum, so it's low maintenance. It will have a more contemporary look to complement the McAuliffe Library as opposed to the street lighting. So it would be a transitional area at the east end of Water Street. Are there plans to relocate the U.S. Post Office letterbox? There are no plans to relocate the mailbox. These boxes can only be relocated by the Postal Service. Will drivers be able to take a right on red? Yes, I believe every approach, there will not be a no turn on red sign, so right on red will be allowed. Wasn't there an extra lane from Edgell turning northeast onto Water Street in the original plans? Due to right-of-way constraints and no major benefit to the operation of the intersection, the right turn lane was removed from that preliminary design. Again, that preliminary design, I think, was a few years old. Per Nobscot District B4 zoning ordinance, utilities are required to be put underground. Will this occur? So while the Nobscot Village Design Guidelines direct the development and redevelopment of private property in the zone, this project does meet some of the goals and recommendations of the guidelines, including expanding walkability, improving vehicular circulation, and reinforcing an attractive, safe, and active pedestrian realm. The private developers are installing underground utilities, but there's no plan to place all of the overhead utilities within the right-of-way underground. Thank you very much. And to stay connected with us, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can sign up for Notify Me at Public Works and Building Framingham to receive those notices. If you need assistance or have any questions about the project, you can contact me. My email is on there, or you can call the Capital Projects 24-hour phone line at 508-532-6040.